on. You do not have to be ashamed of whatever question that you may have, because this right here, we have our chat. If you don't want to say your question, we'll see your chat and we'll read your question, because this is a safe space. And we want to make sure that you understand that we at TouchLink are here to help you. Once again, I don't know if I introduced myself, but my name is Anna Nike. Anna Nike Pankey, soon to be Gordon, right? I'm married. I'm going to be fixing my last name really soon. So everyone, please, please, please take your time now. We want you to all be focused. And I'm going to turn it over to Brenda. And Brenda, please, please, please share with everyone on the platform today.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. My Zoom is acting up, so you might just see me like my flash screen just flash in and out, but I'm here and I hope you all can hear me. So good evening. I always look forward to this platform where I could just talk with people and talk with women and men, just to hopefully, get everybody on the same page in terms of mental health, just get people to have a better understanding of how the trauma of domestic violence can cause various mental health issues, and kind of just discussing and having the open discussion, because there is a stigma behind mental health and we really should all have the opportunity to talk about it. It's something that if you will know somebody who's dealing with something, and it's really important to just have basic knowledge just so that you have that empathy for whomever you're coming in contact with, whether it's a friend, a family member, a coworker, or just a stranger on the street. So thank you for having me. I'm going to share my screen, which will hopefully help with this, like glitching. And just kind of discuss just some again, just so that we all have the knowledge of about mental health and understanding where we can go to if we do need help or resources. Before I share my screen, let me.
So everyone, while Brenda is getting her screen pulled up to share, I want you all to remember that this is a safe space. We want you to be able to ask your questions, leave comments in the chat. We want you to know that there is no dumb question except for the one that's not asked.
Okay, so can we all see my screen? Okay, awesome. So I always just like to talk about what mental health is, and just the basic definition. Mental illnesses are involve changing in our emotions, thinking or behavior, or a combination of these. And mental health literally affects everything we do, like from the moment we wake up to the moment we eat, to showering, to going to work, to socializing, to how it literally affects everything we do. And I always use the example of I have people who always complain, like I have a patient who always constantly complains about stomach aches. And the reason why she has these ongoing stomach issues is there's nothing medically wrong with her. It's because she's anxious all the time. And it's literally affecting her stomach. It makes her nauseous when she wakes up. The anticipation of the day physically makes her sick. So I say our mental health, our emotions affect everything. It affects how we interact. It affects how we think. It affects how we behave. So again, just involving changes in emotions, thinking, and behavior. And mental illnesses affect 1 in 5. So if there's 20 people on this chat right now, they are 5 people technically in a group of 20 that may be suffering with some form of mental illness. And there's categories. There's serious mental illnesses, there substance abuse. And just so that we're aware and nobody's scared, all of these things are treatable resources. So when an individual is dealing with any forms of abuse, there's a few types, and I just said I'd go over a couple of the types of abuse before I get into the mental health piece. There's physical abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, and financial abuse. And I do have a quick video that I wanted to share about the different types of abuse. So let me share my screen. And while I am sharing this, I just hope that you guys have questions for me at the end. I really want people to feel empowered when they leave here, feel knowledgeable. I'm not saying you're going to go out and diagnose anyone, but just being able to have the basic knowledge to, again, better empathize with a sister or a friend or a family member. So let me play this video. And can we all see my screen for the video? Okay.
So we're not hearing your sound from the video.
Oh, no. Hold on.
It may be because it's lagging because I can hear like a little bit from your
Hold
video.
on.
And make sure that you're also sharing the sound.
Let's see. All right. Can you hear me though?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Um, I'm sorry. I'm not sure how to share the sound. I thought it was gonna go. Well, either way, I don't want to take too much time figuring out the sound. The video just discussed the various types of domestic violence. I'm sorry, let me pause the video and go back to the PowerPoint. And like I mentioned before, there's physical abuse, there's sexual abuse, there's financial abuse, emotionally abuse. And the most common form of abuse we see, where we think we know of in domestic violence situations, is the physical abuse. It's a partner physically injuring their partner. That means beating, punching, kicking, anything physical. And with the physical abuse also comes emotional abuse, right? Because you're putting this individual down emotionally. There's no way that you can be beating somebody, but you're injuring them with love. It just doesn't gel, doesn't match. There with the physical abuse automatically comes emotional abuse. And with that, some people experience financial abuse when they're in these domestic violence situations, as well as one of the worst ones is the sexual abuse. And I know many individuals, oh, they cannot be abused because they're married to an individual, but no means no in every situation. If that's a husband to a wife, no is no, or any spouse or any partnership. If you say no to somebody, that means no. And I'm not sure if you're seeing my screen. Are you still seeing my screen?
No.
Oh, okay. Let me get back to sharing. Are we seeing it now?
It's just black, so maybe we give it a second to pop up.
Okay. Oh, it's loading, yes.
There it is.
All right. So, like I said, physical abuse, emotional, sexual, and financial. No means no, and no means no in any relationship. So when an individual says no, whether that's your husband or somebody you're with, it means no. So there's many women who in their marriages have been sexually assaulted by their and in the video, it had made mention of narcissism or narcissistic personalities. And I know that that has come up a lot in conversation when you're reading things or when you're hearing the news. We always say the term, this person is narcissistic, or this is narcissistic behavior. And, narcissism is actually a true personality disorder. It is not, it's not just kind of a thing that we throw out like, oh, you're a narcissist or you're narcissistic. It is a true illness, a true mental illness. And it's a true personality disorder. When somebody is grandiose in ideas, they feel like they are the best. Their achievements are the best. They seek excessive attention. Um, Everything for them is the best. They have to achieve a certain level of success in their minds, and they lack empathy. They feel no compassion for others. They cannot feel compassion for others. Um, they're dismissive. They're dismissive towards everyone, even whom they quote unquote love. They are dismissive towards them. Um, and it really affects these individuals in all areas, in work, relationships. They tend to have low self-esteem, and they also fear personal inadequacy. So they fear that they will be less than. So everything about them is about themselves. Um, and when we talk about narcissistic personalities, many of these individuals um, are the abusers in specific situations. They are the abusers in a situation, right? They're assaulting their partners because not making an excuse. They don't feel what this other person is feeling. They don't care that this other person is the mother of their child, or they're hurting them time and time again, or they're always in the hospital. They don't care. And they will never care because that's not their personality to care. Um, so some oh, sorry. So some traits, like I said, they lack empathy, they take advantage of others, they monopolize conversations, they belittle people, they insist on the best. They insist on having the best. I have a narcissistic patient who his depression is the worst depression. Like his depression is just it's different from everybody else's. Even in his illness and his depression is the worst. His depression is different from all others. Like it's just that idea that they're just unique, and they feel though as though they're new. They feel they're the most beautiful. They're the perfect mate. They look for perfection. They look for an exaggerated sense of achievement. So that is the narcissistic personality, and a lot of these narcissistic personalities tend to be the abusers in domestic violence relationships. So domestic violence is really very prevalent amongst array of men and women. We don't want to single out just the women. Men also can be in abusive situations. 1 in 4 women, and 1 in 9 men experience physical abuse, physical violence, intimate partner violence, sexual violence, which leads to PTSD, which we will talk about, as well as contracting as sexually transmitted diseases. Studies show that these relationships between the intimate partner violences can lead to depression, sometimes even suicide. So again, there's a huge mental health component when it comes to when it comes to domestic violence. And I put New Jersey statistics, 26% of women and 29% of men experience intimate partner violence in the state of New Jersey. I say New Jersey because that's where I live. I know there's other people from various states, but I'm sure you can go online and definitely look at the statistics if interested from your state. So the main illnesses I will talk about today is depression, anxiety, and PTSD. There are an array of illnesses that many people who deal with domestic violence deal with: bipolar, schizophrenia, psychosis, phobias, eating disorders, substance abuse is huge. And we just discussed personality disorders of narcissistic personality disorder. But the main three that I will touch on is depression, anxiety, and PTSD, especially PTSD. So PTSD is it's called post-traumatic stress disorder. It occurs in people who experience or have witnessed a traumatic event. So we have to look at our domestic violence victims. They have lived through trauma. They've been abused. They've been sexually abused, maybe physically, emotionally, financially. They're at their lowest. They've witnessed, not only have they witnessed, but they're experiencing this ongoing threats to their lives, on a daily basis, many of these women or men, they don't know if they're going to live or die. So that is the trauma that is ensued in that. And when an individual is suffering with PTSD, they have various symptoms. I have 4 here listed: re-experiencing, avoiding and numbing, hyperarousal, and mood changes. So re-experiencing can come in the form of uh, dreams. They're waking up in the middle of the night with horrible nightmares. Not, I wouldn't call them dreams, nightmares. They're always re-experiencing what they've been through. Avoiding, numbing. They are isolative. There's somebody that was social. Now they've retreated. They're avoiding family. They're avoiding friends. They're numbing. Some people numb using substances. They smoke marijuana every day. They drink alcohol in excess. Hyperarousal. Somebody might tap you on your shoulder, but instead of you responding, you jump because you are hyper aroused. You're always on defense because you're used to a dangerous touch. Nobody touches you lovingly. Nobody hugs you. Now you're being touched on the shoulder and you're feeling scared because you're not known to feel that type of touch. And the cognitive and mood changes. That is the depression. That is the anxiety. That is the suicidal thoughts that ensue when you are experiencing this trauma. So I made mention of anxieties. There are general anxieties and panic disorders. Generalized anxiety is when you are just always anxious. You're excessively worried about a number of things, right? You are in an abusive situation. You're being financially abused. You're probably concerned about finances. If I leave, what will happen to me? Where will I eat? Where will I sleep? My kids, maybe. What will happen with my kids? Can I afford to take care of them? How will I? It's an ongoing excessive amount of worry. You're worried about your health. You're worried about your family. You're worried about work. You're worried about everything. And it's not a normal worry, because I'm sure we all worry about these things. And it's an excessive worry, a worry that is debilitating. I always tell people that anxiety is normal. We have normal anxiety. You go for a test, you feel anxious. You have a doctor's visit, you might feel anxious. What makes it an issue is when it's debilitating, when you cannot function outside of this anxiety. This anxiety is so bad that you may not leave the house, or this anxiety is so bad that you can't go to the grocery store, or this anxiety is so bad that you are physically ill every morning waking up. You have headaches that won't go away, back aches that won't go away. You're always tense. You're just physically sick. So that's when the anxiety is a problem. Some physical symptoms of anxiety or generalized anxiety: dizziness, fatigue, muscle aches, trembling, dry mouth, sweating, shortness of breath. I mentioned the stomach aches, feeling sick, pins and needles. Psychological symptoms: you feel restless. You feel a sense of dread, like you feel like the other shoe is about to drop. Feeling constantly on the edge. You're having difficulty focusing. You're irritable. Sometimes we are upset with coworkers, friends, like, why are they always so moody? Why are they always so angry? And it's not anything. It's maybe they're just feeling really, really anxious. And then we talk about panic disorder, which is characterized by an unexpected or repeated episode of intense fear, which leads to physical symptoms that may include chest pain, heart palpitations, shortness of breath, dizziness, abdominal distress. I can't express how many times people go into the emergency room thinking that they're having a heart attack, and they're just having a panic attack. So some of the symptoms include racing heart, feeling weak, faint, dizzy, numbness and tingling, sense of terror, impending doom, feeling sweaty, chest pains, they can't breathe. Um, those are just some symptoms. And like I mentioned earlier, a lot of times doctors visit, people go to the doctor's office because they have headaches that they can't go. They're doing MRI tests, they're going for CAT scans, they go to neurology, they're doing all types of testing, and come to find out there's nothing physically wrong with them. They're living in a constant state of anxiety, a constant state of feeling of dread. They are living like this on a daily basis. They're panicking constantly. So it's nothing physical. It's a lot of times mental. And then
Okay,
lastly, I'm just going to talk.
I'm sorry, before you move
Yeah,
on, because I don't want us to get lost. If you can go back a few slides to just, because we spoke about a couple of things, and there's
yeah.
people that are joining in, And I want to go to just the 3 areas that you're going to be speaking about, that slide, right? So she's talked about already PTSD, depression, and now anxiety. And during this time, she let us know. So some of you may have, even just listening to the symptoms, like when you hear some of the symptoms, you're like, oh my goodness, that's me. Oh, sometimes I can't remember and my stomach hurts. That's not what she's saying. What she's
No,
saying,
yes.
a lot of people is on an extreme. It is very extreme. However, even when she began to talk about the different, because many, if you listen, many of the side effects all trickle down. They all kind of look similar. But what she's saying is when it's at an extreme, when it's uncontrollable, then you reach out. That's why we have TouchLink. That's why we have Brenda here today to share with you. She's going to let you know how to get that information that you may need. But please feel free to ask questions. I myself was in a domestic violence relationship when I was younger. So I can't have anybody grab me by the wrist, especially from the back. Um, does it bring me to a time of a remembrance? No, but it does make me very uncomfortable. So even my son is 12 years old. I'll say, don't grab mommy by the wrist. I don't like that, right? Now, my husband, I tell him I don't like to be grabbed by the wrist. So it's important for you also to know what bothers you and be able to express it. But if it's to an extreme where you're not able to function normally, right? I hate to use the word normal, but if you're not able to function on a day-to-day basis, then you have to reach out. And for more information, if you look in the chat, TouchLink will be able to provide you with more information. And this is why it's really important for you all to join the platform and share with others so they can also get educated. Now, Brenda, I wanted to turn it back over, but at this time, if anyone has any questions, you could go to me privately in the chat if you do not want to ask your question out loud, and I'll present it during our Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess I'm just going to piggyback off of what Sister Ananike said. Like, these are the extremes. If your stomach hurts, it may not mean you have anxiety, right? If you have a headache, it may not be anxiety, but these are extremes of these situations. And like I said, it's normal for us to experience anxiety. We are human. Nobody here is a robot. We all at certain levels experience anxiety. It is normal to, have a really big job interview and maybe you're feeling that angst because that shows that you care, that shows that you're concerned. Or if you have a test, or if you're concerned about your kids, or these things are absolutely normal. But it's when it becomes debilitating. It's when you cannot move past it, when you can't function and do your daily activities of living. You're so anxious. I speak with people that are so anxious that they physically get to the supermarket and then they have to turn back around. They cannot fathom the idea of being surrounded by so many people in the shop, right? Or I had recently a woman who was, I would say, I wouldn't say she's being sex trafficked. She was like a sex worker, and she physically, like I think the noise where I was so loud that she needed earplugs to put in her ears because she just physically couldn't stand the noise. It reminded her of a particular situation that happened in her life. And there's lots of different scenarios with people, and it's important to know what your triggers are so that you can tell your loved ones, like, I don't like being touched from behind. Please don't yell. Like, it makes, these are important things that you're aware, because people don't know if they don't know. And if you're aware and please, you should share it with your family or your friends. And you don't have to make a big to-do about it. You don't have to say it's PTSD. You literally can just say, I really just don't like the loud noise. It really bothers me. And hopefully the other individuals will understand. And maybe they won't, but you've put your needs out there, and it's important that you are expressing yourself. I think I was about to talk about depression. And what depression is, because I think
You was
that
going to
depression.
panic disorder. Sorry. You was going
Okay.
to panic disorder. Sorry.
It's okay. Okay, yeah. Oh yes, I did leave off at panic attacks. And I was talking about a lot of the emergency room cases are not actual heart attacks because sometimes people panic to the point that they feel that they are going to die. That sense of terror, that impending doom, that feeling is the panic attack. So no, they're not going to die. No, they're not having a heart attack. Their heart is racing. They feel faint. They feel weak, but it's really a sense of panic. Um, I don't know if anybody has any questions. I know I've said a lot. If not, I will move on and we'll talk about depression.
Sister Brenda, thank you so much. This is Julie. I just want
Hi.
to contribute to what you just said, you and Sister. Thank you so much. So, healing is a healing organization, you know. It's where people come to get healed, to learn different things, you know. It is important that, you know, people listen and take what is being taught here tonight seriously. You know, I talk to people and they have, like, you see many people that have little issues here and there, and they're all leading to anxiety slowly, sometimes to depression. You know, if care is not taken, it becomes a serious problem. So if you have someone you trust, especially people like Sister Brenda here and Sister EJ that I invited, Ijoma is another side MP here, you know, those people are good to talk to when you're going through, who is living an isolated life, you know, looking so unkept. So I spoke to her and I gave her a lot of tips on how to, you know, bring herself back up. You know, after 2 weeks, I saw this same person and she was, you know, she looked so different. She was so happy. So that is what this session is all about. You know, mental health is very, very important. And what you're teaching us tonight is very, very important, Sister Brenda. Thank you. You can go ahead and continue with depression.
Yeah. Somebody actually just asked a question, and the question asked, how can I set boundaries with a narcissistic partner or a family member? So I think I had mentioned earlier when talking about people who are narcissists, they don't understand you, they don't have empathy towards you. So I just really encourage people to have empathy towards themselves, right? Boundaries are boundaries. If you've set a boundary, you have to be consistent about sticking to that boundary because it's not about that other person. It's really about you. The boundary is for you. And the other person doesn't understand that. So you have to really be strong and be firm about setting your boundaries. So if you say, don't come to my house at 1 o'clock, and they come to your house every day at 1 o'clock, you don't open the door. That's the boundary you've set, and you have to be firm about that boundary because the moment you are relaxed about your boundaries, that other person will, I mean, again, the narcissistic person may not get it, but you get it. And you have to be strong and be firm about setting those boundaries. So the
I'm
boundaries
sorry.
are for you.
I wanted to make sure that I really help drill it in, like Sister Brenda's just saying, right? They may not really get it at all. And it may be clear to you and everyone else around you, but the boundary is for you, right? So like she said, if you said don't call after 10 and they call at 11, don't answer. Don't answer and say, I told you not to call or I told you not to come. Don't answer. Because that is how you set the boundary. That is how they begin to understand, hey, I can't call at this time because she's not going to answer, or he's not going to answer, or he's not going to answer the door. Oh, they must not take calls after this time, even though you have told them not after this time, or I'm not doing this. Just like this right now, you have to be consistent. You have to stand firm on your word. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. Okay,
Period.
Mr.
Yeah,
Brenda?
period. Yeah. So yes, absolutely. You have to be firm about your boundaries. The boundaries are not for them, it is about you. So like she said, yes is yes, no is no. Um, I just want to talk about depression. And because I think that there's a lot of people that suffer with depression that are walking around. They're your coworkers, they're your friends, they're your family, and then they're dealing with this to a certain level and they're functioning, right? Because depression has no face. It doesn't look like a particular thing. There's no lab works that you could see, the CBC of depression isn't one. Depression has no look. So it's really important to understand what the cues are. So depression, by definition, is a persistent feeling of sadness, loss of interest, um, clinical depression I'm speaking about. It affects how you feel, think, behave. It could lead to a variety of emotions and physical problems. You may have trouble doing normal everyday activities, and sometimes you may feel like life is not worth living. When I say I meet people, I had a client once who hadn't showered for 3 months because she was so depressed. And you might think to yourself, like, what? Like, I can't go a day without showering, right? But this person was such in a negative mental state that they could not physically get up every day and do what we might think is simple as shower and brush your teeth. She could not do it for 3 months. That's how depressed and debilitated she was. And I'm not speaking about, we all have feelings of sadness, and maybe for like a day or two you might lose interest, but this is really like clinical depression that I'm speaking about. Let me just go through some of the symptoms. So symptoms could be feeling sad, anxious, empty, feeling hopeless, pessimistic, irritable. You feel guilty, worthless, helpless. You lose interest. I meet people who are like, yeah, I really love to do art, and then they're not doing the art that they love. Or I really love to exercise, and they've not done any exercising in months. Decreased energy, fatigue, moving or talking slowly, restless, difficulty concentrating, remembering, making decisions. They are sleeping either too much or sleeping too little. They've gained weight or they've lost weight. I mean, it just really depends. I know sometimes you might see that person that's like, you're like, oh, hey, friend, you look so good, you've lost weight, and not realizing that that individual was just battling depression for 6 months. The weight loss was unintentional. Aches and pains, headaches, cramps, digestive problems without any clear issue or without any ease. And I say the most dangerous one is thoughts of not wanting to be alive, suicide or suicide attempts. Um, and like I said, suicide is when people want to hurt themselves. That is serious. That's major. There's not even a discussion like with any that person. I mean, of course, you're going to discuss with that person, but their safety is really number one when anybody says that to me. And if somebody talks to you about wanting to die or wanting to kill themselves, those are things that you listen for when they talk about feeling empty, hopeless, no reasons to live. They're giving away their things. They're looking online. They're stockpiling pills. They're talking about great shame or guilt. They feel trapped. They feel like there's no coming out of what they're dealing with. They have unbearable pain. Like they can't describe it. It's physical. It's emotional. They feel like they're a burden to people. They're reckless. They're drinking alcohol in excess. They're doing drugs in excess. They don't care. Anxious, agitated. Somebody that always goes around their family all of a sudden isn't around their family or friends. They're withdrawn. So these are some, and again, not to say that anybody who's experiencing any of these things are suicidal, but these are just some things to look out for people who may be having the suicidal thoughts.
Wanted
You
to
might
also
notice they
say,
change.
sorry, I want to make sure that I interject from time to time. She's talking
Yes.
about like sometimes people have like a lot of these happening at once. It's not like they have one thing. Like, okay, she said weight loss. Okay, I lost weight, everybody, but that was because I was on a diet, right? Had to fit in that dress. So what she's saying is most people they have it may be 10 things listed and they have 11.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not just one of the things. Exactly. It's
Right.
like they're not eating and they're not showering and they're sad and they're hopeless. Like it's a combination of all these things.
And if you
Um,
feel like you're going through that, or someone in your family, your friend, that's what Touch Link's about. Our information's in the chat. We want to make sure that we get you the help that you need, your loved one, the help that they need, because your mental health matters.
Absolutely. I just wanted to also talk about just some ways that we treat any and all of these things. Psychotherapy, which is like the key usually to a lot of it, is just having somebody to talk to. And I know when people hear therapy, they feel like, oh, it's like I'm telling somebody about my business. And I look at it as you're telling somebody who doesn't know you from anywhere, an unbiased person. You can tell them whatever it is that you're dealing with. There's no stake in what you share with them. They're there to literally and solely help you. Of course, some people may need medication, case management, which is just for resources. If you are dealing with financial issues from your abuser, or if you're dealing with housing, that's where case management comes in. Worst case, is hospitalization. There are people who do need to be hospitalized.
But okay, I'm sorry, before you go on, because it's important, you hit some very key topics: psychotherapy, medication, case management. Okay, brown people. Okay, can I say this? Because I'm a brown woman.
Yep.
Okay, and I'm a prayer warrior, and I believe that the Lord put these services in place so you can get help. Okay, so I don't know if everybody's understanding the way that I'm saying it, but we have to use wisdom. We need to be able to speak to a professional, right, to get the help that we need. Sometimes you might need something to take the edge off. I'm not a doctor and I'm not diagnosing you. I am a behaviorist though, but sometimes people need something to take the edge off. Case management is to help you to get the resource that you need. You're saying, how am I going to pay for this? How am I going to pay for that? Well, that's why they gave you case management. You don't have to do it alone. And if you at a breaking point where you have to go to the hospital, who cares what Johnny says? Who cares what I'm trying to think of a name that I don't know. That Blue says, who cares what anybody says? Because what I want you all to know tonight is that your mental state matters. Your mental health matters. And in order for you to get to be where you need to be, so you can be a productive person in your life and in your family, you have to be able to take these different types of treatment. Okay. You have to know that remove it. Sometimes it's all of the stuff that you've been through, all of the vicarious trauma that you've been through has made you put something in your head to begin to think they're talking about me, or they're going to look at me this way, or I'm an embarrassment to my family. No, nobody's thinking about you like that. I'm sorry. People are thinking about their day-to-day life, and you just have to get a grip. Reach out to TouchLink so we can get you the help that you need. Sister Brenda.
Yeah, there's huge stigma in mental health, and it's really unfortunate because, it could be something as simple as psychotherapy that literally changes your life. And there should be no shame in getting help for yourself. We don't look at anybody when they go for physical therapy. We don't look at people when they're going to the gym. We don't look at you if you're going to the doctor for your annual checkup. But you feel a way when you go and seek, mental health treatment. And we should really work on changing that narrative, because health is not just physical; it's physical and mental well-being. And mental well-being affects our physical well-being, and vice versa. So we should always have a holistic approach. Like, we look at the whole picture, not just one little pieces here and there. Like, what good are you if you're just going to go to the cardiologist, but your mind is racing with different thoughts and your heart won't stop beating, but you're at the cardiologist? So you have to look at it as a holistic, like everything, and making sure that you are taking care of everything, not just your physical. Do not neglect your mental well-being. And some of these things are needed or necessary. There's alternative medicines, right? There's yoga, there's meditation. Those are other things that can help with your mental health There's self-help plans, there's peer support. TouchLink is, I would say, well, TouchLink is, like, I would say, is case managed with peer support. But there are people who want to help you, and you should not feel ashamed or neglect your mental health due to feeling ashamed or worrying about what your family or your friends might think. Half of the time, they're secretly in therapy too, and you'd be surprised who they're talking to. So there's no shame.
I love what you said. And that's so true. They even have programs out there called Strengthening Families, where children up to a certain, like, I believe 15 years old, you can go. This is really, there's so much out there that you do not need to even miss out. I feel like you're missing out if you're not in therapy. I mean, like, why carry all that load if you don't have to?
Yeah, no, just
Okay.
you can pass off some of that load to somebody who wants to help you. Like, that is what this is about. Like, we're supposed to leave everything to God, as well as the people that God places in our lives to help us. So please, again, don't feel ashamed of seeking help. We are here to help each other. So one thing I speak about, I think that people have to prioritize is themselves. And in prioritizing ourselves, I always talk about, like, just self-care, and just certain things that you could do to take care of yourself. And these are some of the key things. Be mindful of the way we speak to ourselves. What we say to ourselves in our thoughts on a day-to-day basis really, is really important. We want to have positive affirmations to ourselves, put Post-its. I remember one time somebody said, put stickers on your mirror that say positive things, say you're beautiful, say you're smart, say that you're going to have a good day today. You want to wake up with positive things in your mind and speak positive to yourself. And sometimes it's okay to not be okay. And that's when you're going to tap into your resources. You're going to call the friend. You're going to call your therapist. You're going to go to the support groups. You're going to log on and listen to a TouchLink session on a Thursday night. That is what you're going to do. And you're going to get organized. You're going to organize your finances, organize your space. Sometimes your room might be a mess, and that is affecting your mood. You're stepping over dirty clothes, like your bathroom is dirty, the mirror is dirty. Like, you just want to clean and organize your space, organize yourself. And that will make you feel better. Like, you'll feel accomplished when you've organized yourself, so that you could say, all right, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and that. And that goes into establishing a routine, getting yourself up in the morning. If that means you go for a 10-minute walk or you stretch, these are routines. When you go to work, maybe you don't hit the ground running. I know for myself, when I get into work, I'm like, 10 minutes, nobody talk to me, don't look at me. I just need a moment to just kind of relax, and then I can get into work, because I know once I start, I'm not going to stop. So just little things you do for yourself. And setting boundaries is, we spoke about that earlier, super, super, super important. And this isn't just for a narcissistic friend or partner. Setting boundaries is important just for everything. You have to say no. If you can't, some people spread themselves very thin. They put a lot on their plate, and because they can't say no. Learn to say no. If your boss asks you to stay extra at work, no. If a friend says, oh, we got to go here, 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 and there, no, I want to stay in. Like, say no. It is okay.
I
Nobody's
call
going
it the graceful no. It's a nice way to say no. You can say, I'm sorry, I'm not able to. I'm not available. Maybe next time. That's a graceful way of saying it. Would they be like, did she just tell me no?
Yes. And honestly, nobody will fault you. So say no. I always talk about, like, social media, news, cell phones. I feel like we sleep next to our cell phones. I'm guilty of it, waking up and looking at my emails and stuff. Sometimes you just need a break, like, wake up and just be, like, relaxed, versus already reading the CNN headlines that this blew up and this happened, or getting on Instagram or checking your text messages. Like, just take a moment to relax. Open up the Bible app and read the word of the day. Like, that's a nice way to start your day, versus getting in and just doing all types of stuff, because you get distracted and 10 minutes turns into 30 minutes and you lost yourself on Instagram scrolling, or you checked your emails and you frustrated yourself early in the morning. So just be mindful of that. surround yourself with positive people. I think that's self-explanatory. Birds of a feather flock together. If you're around people who are always negative, you just need to be around positive people. Self-care, and whatever that means for you. If that means you go for walks, if that means you take time off of work and go on vacation, if that just means you sit in your car before you go inside the house, whatever your self-care is, implement that. Therapy, that, exercising, again, taking care of your physical health. I know we spoke about mental health, but also taking care of your physical health is so, so important.
So before you
Um,
leave from this screen, can you go back? Before you leave from that screen, everybody, it says how to prioritize your mental health. I know that we're going to be rounding up soon, but I want you to know that I'm quite sure that if you type in that you want to make you a, if you want to make you like a schedule. So like I'm really good at doing this. You can go on Pinterest and you can just say, I want a daily schedule. And you could say, I want a daily schedule to prioritize my mental health. I guarantee that you'll find it on Pinterest and you can go in there and make edits and print it out for yourself. Okay. And those different things that I always talk about, like what she talked about, speaking positively into your own life. Those things that you are hearing in your mind that are really negative, that you're dumb, that's just the enemy playing mind games with you. So everything that he tells you, I want you to play reverse with him, okay? So if he tells you you're dumb, I want you to say, I am smart. I want you to do all of those reverse. You can stick it on, you can put it in your phone. I remember like I had a recording where it would just say everything that I said. I would just record myself and it would just say everything that I needed to say. It was me saying it. So you have to do different things. It's very important that you set a routine and that you do it consistently. Everything that I'm going to tell you, it needs to be consistent. The same way you wash your face every day is the same way you pour into yourself every day. Okay. And 6 a.m. is morning prayer. You can always call the morning prayer line, 6 a.m. You can jumpstart your day by calling a prayer line. At Agape House of Worship, you can go on the church website to find out more information about that. But you can always jumpstart your day. If you're not on a prayer line, just like she said, open up the Bible app, YouVersion. You could also open up the Bible, open up a book and read a couple of verses. Just whatever you do, try to be consistent. Try to do the same thing to jumpstart your day. If you're going through a rough time, understand that it's okay. I remember when I used to tell my kids, now is not the time. I need a few minutes. Okay. Now is not the time. That's what worked for me. I don't know what words will work for you, but it's okay for you to not be where you need to be sometimes, as long as you have the coping skills that you need to bring you down and you express them to the people around you. Okay. So I want to make sure that each and every one of you know exercise. Is she saying that you need to go bench press 150 pounds? No, take a walk. Take a walk around your house, your apartment. Do some deep breathing. Go on YouTube and do 8-minute workout. There's so many different things that you can do right inside your house with a chair in the wall and doing some arm exercises, right? Breathing is very, very important because it opens up different things in your brain and it lets out different types of endorphins and all types of things like that. So self-care can be anything from brushing your hair to laying down, whatever it is that you do for self-care. But it's important that you prioritize your mental health, make a chart, go to Pinterest. And Sister Brenda, I'm turning it back over to you, but I just wanted to reiterate what you were saying.
Thank you. I do actually have some questions. I'm just going to read them. Somebody asked if I'm ready to seek help, what should my first steps be? And if I'm not able to find a therapist, what are some ways to get help? So if you're ready to seek help, I do encourage people to get a therapist. I do have a sign. Therapy is readily available for many, if in other ways than people think. I always tell people who are like students that your school has a therapist on campus, and it's free for you if you're a student in school. You can search into it in this like psychology department. There's always somebody there to talk with. if you have insurance, you go through your insurance provider who can link you or get you linked with a therapist. Some therapists work on sliding scales. If you are financially unable to pay, they will work with you based on what you can afford. Some people do pro bono work free. There's also online services like Talkspace, BetterHelp, and then there's religious organizations. Going to your church, talking to your pastor, talking to people in the church assigned to kind of help during different times. So I do encourage people to seek those areas if they're looking for help. And again, if you're looking to get help, religious organizations are really key because it's free. They're the people that are there to help you. If you don't have insurance, or if you're concerned about a therapist, you can go to a religious organization, Agape House of Worship. We spoke about that. There's a number of pastors there that want to help and are willing to help. And there's people in the church that also are willing to help. Somebody also, oh, and then also, if you don't have insurance, please reach out to TouchLink. They will gladly guide you. I also have another question. Somebody wrote, if I notice some of these signs in my child who was also in an abusive home with me, how do I approach them to address it? So, one of the statistics that shows, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but a lot of people who are themselves abused or were in abusive homes tend to then put themselves in abusive situations. So if you are aware of it, I do encourage you to get your children help to talk about what they've seen, because they are traumatized in their own way, and their traumas are expressed through various ways. It's just like we as adults. They may also be hypervigilant. They may also be depressed. They may also be anxious. So I do encourage you to seek help for the child as well. Give that child an opportunity to have somebody to talk to about what they've experienced, because they were traumatized. So those are just some tips for children. I see somebody with their hands raised.
Yes, Sister Brenda,
Hi.
that's me again. Hi. So I just want to contribute to what you said earlier, that there is no shame in seeking care, both physical and mental care. And sometimes what people need are not strong medications, like Zoloft, Paxil, all those mental health medications. What they need most of the times is, a reliable person to talk to, especially a professional, somebody in the church who is very, very reliable. Because my experience with young people is just constant counseling. It helps a lot, especially for the youth. I've had a lot of experience, just talking to them from week to week really, really alleviates their pains. And I've seen so many patients that, after talking to them for weeks and months, they got back to their normal lives just because they found somebody they like to talk to and be able to explain their problems. So this is what mental health is, all about too. Thank you.
Absolutely. I recently spoke to this woman who left a relationship, and I literally I know she just wants to talk. Like, she just wants to get things off of her chest. She calls me and she just wants to talk. Like, there's no medication I can give her for what she's dealing with. She just wants to be able to talk. And for her, she's concerned about, she's oversharing with family and friends. And I'm just a safe ear for her to speak to. And I don't mind, because the 10 minutes I spend talking to her, literally, it makes her day great. Like, she feels excited and motivated, based on whatever she's dealing with in that moment. And I don't mind doing that, because she's able to look forward to her day versus having a horrible day with panic. So sometimes it's really just about having somebody to talk to that you trust. So I don't know if anybody has any other questions. I just, if there's any questions, you put them in the chat before we end, but I'm going to pass it over to Sister Ananike.
So, wow, I think that tonight was amazing. Thank you, Sister Brenda. You have educated and you have really, really talked about so many great things. For those that missed it tonight, you can always go back and watch this recording on YouTube. But for those of you that this is your first time joining, we meet once every Thursday. This is the third Thursday of the month, right? Am I right? Every third Thursday of the month.
Yes.
So this is the monthly empowerment hour. I want each and every one of you to know that you can find more information if you go to touchlink.org. Our website is www.touchlink.org. I want to thank you so much, Sister Brenda, for joining. But before we go, everyone, we have a great announcement. We have a great announcement. So, Sister Brenda, I'll let you do that announcement for us.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say that the founder of TouchLink, Pastor Yewande, turned 60. So
Yes.
we just want to celebrate with her, and what she's asking for us is to join us or join her on Saturday, July 22nd, virtually for a worship experience. And honestly, I know we're all going to be blessed through worship. And it's from 7 to 10. It's on YouTube and Facebook at TouchLink, TouchLink DV. So please join us Saturday. You just take your time wherever you are. If you're in the car, if you're at home, if you're out with friends, just worship with her. That is her request for her big 60. So I just encourage you all to join us that day. Okay.
Yes, and it won't, I don't know if we have a flyer on that or not. Here we do. Look how
Yes.
beautiful she is at 60. She has some great artists lined up to sing and worship. Not just sing, but they are going to worship. And we want to worship the Lord with her on her birthday celebration. We thank God for 60 years of life. She is so beautiful. She's not asking you to send her $60. She's asking you to take this time to join the worship service. Once again, it's at 7 to 10. Please see that it's a.m., not p.m. That means you got to get up in the morning at 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. You can join by going to YouTube, right? That's TouchLink DV. DV stands for domestic violence, or Facebook, TouchLink DV. Please share this so others can also experience God at this great time of worship. So please, everyone, we thank you for joining on this evening. We thank you for all that you do. We want you to all know that we care about your mental health. Your mental health matters here at TouchLink. If you need any help or you need to learn more information or anything, please visit the website, which is touchlink.org. We want to make sure that we provide you with the resources that are needed. If you also have any questions, you can also make sure that when you send your email to TouchLink after going, you can go ahead and type your question in the information in the contact detail when it asks. And if Sister Brenda went over something this evening and you feel like that's you, please actually reach out to us as soon as possible and let us know that I feel like that's me, because we want to make sure that you get the help and the support that you need. Okay. So please, we also have a phone number. Our phone number is 866-682-4626. Once again, that's 866-682-4626. You can also find this information in our chat. Once again, we thank you, Sister Brenda, for an incredibly informative and helpful event on this evening. We thank you for this time. We just thank you. I thank you. And I know Pastor Yewande and the whole TouchLink family thanks you. This was very helpful and a very great learning experience. So please, everyone, we pray that you all have a great and fantastic evening. Please remember to tune in Saturday morning.
We're supposed to conclude with prayers.
God grant us a very good evening. As we go to bed, give us a happy night rest. We wake up tomorrow hale and hearty to bless and glorify you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen.